Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a stained glass artist with a problem. I've been working to make my glass art a business for the last 6 years, and while I've seen a lot of growth, I'm still struggling to make it my full-time career. And so this is where the WAZER comes in. The thing about stained glass is that it's an extremely labor-intensive and time-consuming process. I've recently come to the realization that the only way I'll ever be able to expand my business is to start outsourcing some of this labor. I haven't really dug into the software yet, but I felt confident that I could get my new WAZER to drill a hole for me. Well, I say drill, but I really mean cut a tiny circle. One of the worst tasks for me during this time of year is drilling the holes in these pieces. It takes forever. So when I saw how fast and precise the WAZER could cut through glass, I was in awe. It took the WAZER only about 10 seconds to cut a perfect hole, and I was able to get through all of my ornaments in the time it would have taken me to drill just a single one by hand. I occasionally make these little howling wolf nightlight. What I don't like about this design is the teeny tiny little cutouts for the ears and mouth of the wolf. I can definitely do them by hand, and have up till now, but they're intensely annoying, and I have to use this tiny drill bit to grind into the spaces. I figured this would be a good first project for the WAZER because it would take away that particular annoying step. I set up one file to cut 8 moon background pieces and one file to cut 3 wolf pieces. This time the pieces held tight and cut out perfectly all together. So there's definitely more to the whole job than just the cutting part. However, the fact that I could be working on other projects while the WAZER took on this step for me has huge implications for scaling my business this year. The reality is that even though I designed the pattern this way, so I ultimately did it to myself, I found the design unpleasant enough to work on that I just barely ever make these. So it's a product that was almost retired for me before I was able to outsource it to WAZER. Now I can make these again without cursing at them the whole time. Now that I'm familiar with how this whole thing works, I'm ready to move on to something more challenging. The first thing we need to do is start with a pattern. And that pattern needs to be in a format the WAZER can recognize, which is a DFC or SVG file. Once you're happy with the file and you've moved it onto the SD card, now you can move that card physically onto the WAZER. Now we'll need to fasten all the glass we'll be working with to the WAZER surface. I've set up my file as you saw to cut one color on this part of the cut bed and this other color on the other part. So I'll leave the WAN image open on my computer to reference where I need to put my glass. Once I have my glass in place, I'll turn on the WAZER, turn on my water, and run through the startup. The little screen shows you all the steps, so I'll move the cutting head over to my start point, make sure my water is on and my grit is topped up, and empty anything out of the grit hopper so there's room to collect the grit. Then I'll adjust the height of this part. You take the little plastic tool and make sure the head is not going to hit anything, so try to make sure it's adjusted to the highest point you'll be cutting anywhere on the cut bed. And then you can let it go. Each file will take different amounts of time, so I'll just go do something else while the WAZER works for me. When the WAZER is done, I pull out all the glass and give it a little rinse and then check it out. There's so many ways to incorporate the WAZER into the glass process from here, but hopefully some of this basic foundational stuff helps you get started and get comfortable with using it. I'm loving playing around and finding the best methodology, and I can't wait to tackle another project.